Hey guys, Average Scarecrow here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Thank you very much for dropping by the channel. As always, I really appreciate it. I wanted to make a video today because we're coming up on the end of Doom Tower, this Doom Tower rotation. Not the end of it, like it's about to reset, but we're finally getting enough keys to be able to finish the floor 120. So in the spirit of that, I wanted to make a video on how best to tackle the Dark Fae. The Dark Fae, in my opinion, is the best Doom Tower boss farm because it gets you lethal gear, which gives you crit rate and ignore defense all into one. So it's like the step up from Savage gear, but it's actually better because when you can farm Dark Fae, it's actually more accessible than Savage gear. So I'm a real big fan of it. I think everyone should be using all of their keys every night to farm Dark Fae. I know I am. I'm doing my best at least. And yeah, so I wanted to talk strategy here. And I wanted to just show you guys my team that I've been using that's really good. It's got a 100% success rate. And it's a combination of two champions. One of them, an old school epic Allure here. And the other one is actually Edward Kenway. So Edward Kenway and Allure both have very similar A1 abilities that's going to enable us to tackle the Dark Fae very easily. But first, why don't we just go over the boss guide real quick? So Astronix, the Dark Fae, this is floor 80. So I'm going to unlock floor 120 tonight. So we'll probably do a follow-up tonight, and I'll just edit it in at the end to show the team on floor 120. But I thought, floor 80, close enough. Why not go ahead and get a jump start on the video? So anyway, so Astronix, the Dark Fae, has an AoE on the A1 that places Leech for 2 turns. On the A2, she's got another AoE that steals a random buff from each enemy according to the number of magic champions on the enemy team. Turn meter steal, if they're force, 10% for each force champion. Has a 25% chance of placing a True Fear on each enemy for 1 turn, which increases by 25% for each Void champion on the enemy team, and heals Astronix by 10% of her max HP, 10% of her max HP every time for each Spirit champion on the enemy team. So an A2 ability that's really unique for a boss because it's doing something different for each affinity that you have on your team. So for example, I have 2 force. Let's just look at it real quick. 2 force, 2 void, and 1 magic. So no spirits, right? So on this A2 ability, she's going to steal 1 buff from us if she has enough accuracy. She's going to steal 20% turn meter if she has enough accuracy because we have 2 force, and she has a 75% chance because we have 2 voids of placing True Fear for 1 turn. So it's a very interesting A2 ability. I would encourage you to have someone who can, if you have voids, someone who can wipe away that True Fear. But if you don't have any void champions on your team, she's not going to be placing it, so it's not that big of a deal. Or just build enough resistance to resist those abilities. On the A3, we've got another AoE, and then all living allies will team up and join this attack, and damage increases by 25% for each living ally. So we've got another ability here, banishes 1 enemy champion and spawns a mirror copy of them onto Astronix's team, and then places a True Fear on all enemies for 1 turn, and then increases Astronix's dark energy counter by 1. A passive here places a perfect veil on Astronix for 3 turns and spawns mirror copies of all of the enemies on onto Astronix's team at the start of the battle, and then spawns mirror copies of all enemies onto Astronix's team every time her dark energy counter reaches 5. So this is with the what would that be, A4 ability. So she has to use this 5 times before she can spawn copies of your team again. Okay, she's immune to all the usual stuff, including HP exchange, balancing, and cooldown increasing effects. I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry. The enemy max HP hits cannot exceed 10% of her max HP. And then turn meter reduction effects are decreased by 50% when used against the boss. So you can reduce her turn meter. And that's what we're going to be focusing on for today's video. I'm sure you guys are aware Allure is S tier against this boss. And Edward is also S tier against this boss because they have very similar A1s. So the key thing here is that when you start the fight against Astronix, the Dark Fae, she's going to copy your team. So you have to be careful that you have your team speed tuned correctly. So what I mean by that is if you're going to use a form of crowd control like stun, your stun champion has to go first. Otherwise, the copy of your champion is going to take a turn and then it gets messy, right? So if your copies start interrupting your champions, you run the risk of losing the fight pretty quickly. So we're going to be using an ally attack strategy with an AoE attacker on the A1 with Marius, but any AoE nuker will do. So let's go over the team real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's going to happen here. So we've got Marius, we've got Edward, we've got Mad Hatter, we've got Allure, and we've got the Queen of Hearts. Now, the Queen of Hearts is S tier against basically every boss because she has a drop defense on the A1. She has an ally attack, which is placing increased attack as well on a 4-turn cooldown, which is really powerful. And then she's got a buff strip ability with Death Brand to block revive as well. So Queen of Hearts is also our fastest champion at 355 speed. You don't need that much speed for Dark Fae, but she's just in my arena build. So I have her 9-piece Mercurial with 355 speed. It's a really powerful arena build, and it translates well over to PvE as well. But the real thing that we're looking for here is the turn meter reduction. So Allure on her A1 has a 3-time random hitter, which decreases the target's turn meter by 25% on each critical hit. So 75% turn meter reduction on the A1 is incredible. And then Edward has a very similar ability, although his is targeted. So it attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 100% chance of dropping the target's turn meter by 15%, with each critical hit dropping it by 25% instead. So potentially 150% turn meter reduction on these two abilities. Have that, and you've got 75% turn meter reduction every time they attack. Pair that with an ally attacker like Queen of Hearts, and shut off their other abilities so that they're only using their A1s, and you have constant turn meter reduction going on against this boss. So you can see here, Marius is going to be using only his A1 until he gets to the 3rd wave. Queen of Hearts, we're going to make sure that she's not using any of her abilities, only the AoE drop defense and turn meter fill. Always forget about that until the final wave, and then she'll go in and she'll use her ally attack first and foremost. Allure, she can do whatever until we get to the final wave, and then we're shutting off her A2 and A3. Same with Edward here. So he can use whatever he wants until we get to the boss, and then we only want him using his A1. And then Mad Hatter, again, shut everything off because Marius is just gonna A1 the waves until we get to the boss, and then I actually want him to use this ability first and then this ability afterwards. So as far as speeds go, I think you probably want your fast champions, so like your Queen of Hearts, your Mad Hatter. You probably want them, I would say, I think 250 speed would probably be pretty good. If you're going to go that route, I would probably bring a decreased speed champion as well. Someone who can place decreased speed would be really good to just slow the boss down a little bit. So let's say, for example, you don't have Edward. You can bring someone in who has a drop speed, right? So like a Stag Knight would be a really good epic option because he has a drop speed on the A1. Pair that with an ally attacker, and you have more chances to place the drop speed. I'm going the double turn meter drop instead of the drop speed because it's so powerful. And because my champions are pretty quick. So like my Edward is 249 speed, 274 speed, 355, 291, 249, and 228. So Marius being the slowest one, but he's got a ton of defense. So he's going to nuke through the waves. Now, As far as your damage dealer goes, Marius is obviously the best option in the game, in my opinion, but there's a lot of really good ones. So I'm primarily looking for someone who has an AoE on the A1. So that could be like your Erix's, for example. You'll get her for free. Crowhod is a really good one. He's got a strong AoE on the A1. Skullcrown, a good epic option. Sinesha, a good epic option. Let's see who else. Let's just look at my champions real quick. Wallmaster Othorian, another good option. He's got an AoE on the A1 and the A2. Cheshire Cat has a conditional AoE on the A1, but if you pair him with an ally attacker, he'll always place the perfect veil, so it turns into an AoE. And there's plenty of options, is kind of what I'm getting at here. Plenty of options for AoE. Ray's another one, AoE on the A1 with drop defense. Yeah, plenty of options here. So I would definitely Yukimasa. He was a fusion champion, AoE on the A1. So yeah, I would definitely go AoE on the A1 here. And then as far as ally attacks go, Queen of Hearts, in my opinion, is the best one. I would even prefer her over Lady Bakage because she has the AoE drop defense on the A1 as well. So you're getting that instead of the increased crit damage. So, but a good epic option, obviously going to be like someone like Farrakhan the Fat, Farrakhan, however you pronounce his name. He's a Spirit Affinity, not support, I don't think. Spirit Affinity ally attacker. Let me see if I can pull him up here. Yep. So I have him plus forward, and he's got a increased crit rate, crit damage for 3 turns, and then all allies except this champion attacks one target enemy on a 4-turn cooldown. So not as good as Queen of Hearts, but still a really good option. Pair him up, like I said, with an AoE nuker on the A1, and you're good to go. All right, so let's go ahead and go in here. I'll go ahead and just keep it on auto so you guys can see what's going on. All right. We're just, like I said, we're just letting Marius come in and do a bunch of damage on his A1. And then whoever's left will clean him up with, some of these guys, right? And then I'm going to take it off auto when we get to the boss fight. I'm sure a lot of you know how to beat the Dark Fae. I get it, but it's like I said when I did a couple other, or I've done, I think, 1 or 2 other Doom Tower not secret rooms, boss fights. Because I think there are still new players coming into the game. So I think it's worthwhile, putting videos like this out, even if it only reaches a few people, you know what I mean? So, okay, so now we're here at the boss fight, and you can see what I mean, right? So Queen of Hearts is going to go next, right? She's going to go next, and so we need to make sure she's dead, otherwise she's going to interrupt us, and she can potentially ruin the fight. So I'm actually going to target her, even though I think that the ally attack is going to make sure we kill everybody. So I'll slow it down. We go ally attack. She's going to place drop defense, and then boom, only Marius is left. And then we get the random hitter there. So Marius does a little bit of damage, but it's fine. And now we can go in with the weaken and the ally attack. And now we have the turn meter reduction. So now we can just go in and start dropping the boss's turn meter here. So boom, look at that. Turn meter reduction. Turn meter reduction, and then Marius is going to come in and do his big AoE hits. Now, the point of this isn't necessarily to always stop her from taking a turn. Like, she'll probably take a turn eventually. The point is to prevent her from taking a bunch of turns, right? To keep her from being able to cycle through those abilities. So she'll come in, she'll steal the copy, it's fine. We can go in here. We can get, we don't have a cleanse, but we have a decreased debuff duration. So Mad Hatter, really good for that. And then we'll take back our Marius. And now we can do an ally attack, which is going to beat back her turn meter even more. And now she's got 0% turn meter, and Marius will come in on the ally attack and finish the job, right, with Soul Reap. So really simple strategy. She only took 1 turn the entire fight. And if you had a drop speed champion, like let's say, for example, I took out Mad Hatter, right? I don't know, is Stag Knight built? He might be. Or you know what? Let's look at anyone who has epic or legendary who has a decreased speed, right? So let's just say here's a free option, right? Chronicler Adeline. She's got decreased speed and drop attack on the A3 ability. You could use that. You could use Orthoritrix Lamasu. She would be good because she can reset the ally attack as well. So I think I have her built. Not quite built, but let's just throw her in. We'll take you out. We'll throw in Orthoritrix Lamasu. Everyone will get Orthoritrix Lamasu eventually, right? Because of, and you know what? Why don't we put her as the speed lead as well? So we'll go even faster. And then, but she's a good option because, like I said, eventually everyone will get her. All right, here we go. And again, we just want to A1 cycle through here. So we can go drop attack. I always forget about the turn meter fill that Queen of Hearts has on the A1 as well. I'm so glad I was able to get her and the 6-star Awakening. Game changer, man. Really is a game changer. All right, here we go. So, again, we're going to go in here. We're going to go ally attack. They also copy your relics, so keep that in mind. See here, he's got a delayed death. Oh, okay, hang on. So because of the turn meter reduction, Marius, it triggered Marius's passive. So we actually want to target Marius on the ally attack. That's my fault. So we'll go back in, we'll do that again. Because if we target Marius, we should kill him with Edward's A1 ability. So that's my fault. Totally my fault. Just wasn't paying attention. It won't normally go like that. We can go in here. Just A1. Nope. A1. The other thing, if you're going to manual it, because I used to have to manual Dark Fae because it was so challenging for me. There we go. Oh, and we get sheeps. Like I said, they copy the relic, so this one actually not going super well for me. Because it's a 2-turn keep as well, so not a great run. So if you're going to run someone like a Thoritrix Lamasu, make sure you take her out of her relic. If she's got a sheep relic, right? So this one is not going to go very well. And the worst thing about sheep is that it slows us down, right? So, all right, now we can go here. We'll reset. No, we won't reset the ally attack because it's already off cooldown. So not a strong showing, like I said. Should have taken the relic off, but it's expensive to take relics off, man. It's expensive. But if you go the reset route, now she's got the drop speed. But on top of the drop speed, we've got the turn meter reduction as well. So even though the sheep kind of threw us off, I think you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. Whereas now, and if it hadn't been for the sheep slowing us down and getting rid of one of our turn meter reducers, she never would have gotten a turn to begin with, right? Because we're just totally eviscerating that turn meter. So let me try, because I think I might be almost out of keys. No, I got 2 more. But let's try one more time. Maybe we'll get lucky here. We won't get sheeped, because I do want to show you what it would look like if all things go according to plan. Because that one was a little bit rough. The first one was a little bit rough because of the Marius. I always forget about he counterattacks anytime you reduce his turn meter. And Lamasu is reducing turn meter anytime she places a debuff. So we have to make sure that we target the Marius to make sure we kill him. Otherwise, he'll counterattack and kill us. So we'll go here, target the Marius, like I said. There's that delay, though. But it's fine. We'll go here. We have to go there, so that's kind of a bummer. Get rid of that perfect veil. Slow her down. And now we can start beating back the turn meter. And because she's because she's slower now, she has 30% less speed now, and because we're so fast, she'll never get a turn now, right? So this team might actually, without the relics, right? This team might actually be better than the one I was running. I mean, look at that. No. But it's also a little bit redundant because we've got so much turn meter reduction and the decreased speed that she doesn't even come close to getting a turn. I mean, look at that. All the way back down to 0. So a pretty solid strategy. I actually don't think you need, unless your speeds aren't quite to this level, right? Like if you don't have a 355 speed Queen of Hearts, obviously that's understandable. So if your speeds are a little bit on the lower side, then yeah, sure, bring a drop speed champion and then just go double or single drop turn meter. It is a very good strategy to have to go with. So before I wrap up, before we go on to the stage 120, which is what's next for me, I think I'm almost there. Yeah, so Dark Fae, this is going to be the last one. A few things to avoid bringing onto your own team, because she's going to copy your team. So if you actually make your team too strong, if you bring too much, you can actually hurt yourself. So a couple things to avoid. Avoid bringing champions like, funny enough, avoid bringing champions like Donnie. Because Donnie is a very tanky champion who has really powerful abilities. Like he's got a cleanse with strengthen and turn meter fill. He's got delayed death abilities. So he can actually keep copies of your champions alive, which gives them more of a chance to interrupt your lineup, right? So if he keeps a champion alive, there's a chance that it throws your whole battle off. Other champions to avoid, champions like Freya, basically just really super tanky champions because they're going to copy your stats. So if you bring in, for example, a champion like Mithrala, Mithrala is a very popular option for a lot of players for for a lot of these types of bosses and wave-based content, because she's got a full cleanse, a strengthen, a shield. She's got hex, increased defense, increased attack. She's got poisons. She's got a chance of petrifying if she's attacked by a champion under hex. And then she's also got this here, so increases the champion's resistance equal to the amount of accuracy this champion has. So if you build your Mithrala too fast, I used to run into this when I used to try to run Mithrala in this fight. I couldn't control her, so she would end up getting a turn, and she would cleanse everybody, and then because I had her really fast as well, and then it would throw the whole thing into disarray because you can't control the team, because you can't control Mithrala. So you actually have to be a little bit concerned about bringing super tanky, high resist type champions onto your team, because they can actually throw your team into disarray by interrupting and by throwing off your strategy. So when you're going to bring champions in, you kind of have to find that sweet spot. And it's a little bit hard to find sometimes for, I think, newer players of, I need them to be able to survive a hit, like if it's wave-based content, right? So if you can't just speed through the waves, you might need them to be able to survive a hit, but also you don't want them so tanky that they're impossible to kill once they get summoned by the Dark Fae. So I would say, like I said, avoid champions like Donnie who can delay death. Freya can delay death as well. Actually, I'm curious now because I don't think I've ever tried it. Will she bring in? I think will they copy Stone Skin as well? I don't know if I've ever tried this, so we can actually find out together. And I'm not going to complete it, so we can just kind of speed through the waves here. Yeah, come on. I didn't bring Marius in, so. Because you can see my Empress has Stone Skin on, so I am curious if it's going to copy the Stone Skin as well. It copied Relics, so I imagine it would copy Stone Skin, right? Ensnare is such a good debuff as well. Come on, come on, come on. Let's go. There we go. Okay. So she summons in the Empress. And okay, so it doesn't copy Stone Skin. So I was gonna say avoid bringing in Stone Skin champions, because if it copies the Stone Skin, that could be a huge problem. But it doesn't look like it copies the sets. It looks like it just copies the stats. So that's good to know. But it does copy relics, because you saw there I have Edward in a delay death relic, and I've got Lamasu in a wand of submission. I don't think, do I have Queen in a wand? I do have a Queen in a wand. So I double whammied myself. That's why it was that's why we got sheeps there. So I would say avoid bringing in really powerful relics as well, because she can copy those relics and again throw your whole team into disarray. You saw one of my champions got sheeped and it almost threw the whole strategy off. So yeah, a lot of things to consider with Dark Fae. A very challenging boss for a lot of people. I know I used to struggle with Dark Fae a lot until I got myself a good strategy. So I used to run a really epic heavy team, and my epic heavy team was, I had a lore, obviously. So I would actually use Farrakhan the Fat as my ally attacker. I would use Stag Knight, because Stag Knight has a drop speed on the A1 with drop attack and drop defense, so a very good champion to have. I actually used to run Sylar a lot as well. I would have her as my fastest champion, and then I would open up with the drop speed and turn meter reduction by 40%. So this is a really powerful ability for Dark Fae. You're going to get 20% turn meter reduction on the boss, but 40% turn meter reduction on all of your all of the copies of your allies, and drop speed as well, so you can slow her down. So double whammy her with the double drop speed abilities. And then Allure, obviously, for the 3-time random hitter with turn meter reduction. And then I would run like a nuker, right? So I think by the time I started getting around to Dark Fae, I had some pretty competent nukers, like legendary nukers, just ones you get for free. But Eric's is a very good one. AoE on the A1. Like I said, Crowhod, a very good, more recent addition to the game. AoE on the A1. You've got Wallmaster. You've got Yukimasa, like I said. All more recent additions to the game. I would say that if you can't get a champion with an AoE on the A1, it's not the end of the world. It's just, it works better to minimize the risk of someone interrupting, right? But really, any powerful nuker, I think, will do. So we can go like, Thor's a really good one. He-Man's a really good one. Wallmaster's a really good one. Even someone like Artak, to be honest with you, he was a free champion. He's got an AoE on the A1. So yeah, plenty of good options there. I don't think it's like an absolute necessary, you have to have someone with an AoE on the A1, sorry. I just think it makes it a lot better. I think the strategy works better if you have someone with an AoE on the A1. So I think for now, I'm just going to wrap it there. I'll go ahead and tonight at reset, I'll probably record an additional one, because I've been rambling a little bit. I've been trying to call out champions who are coming to mind. That's why I'm rambling. I'm trying to think of all the champions that I used to maybe give you some suggestions. There's so many champions in the game that, I'm sure you guys are going to comment like, hey, this champion's busted for this boss. This champion's really good for this boss. I think all that's great. So be sure to say in the comments who you use and who you think is really, really good for this boss. And I will. I'll see you guys back here tonight, and we'll do another run of Dark Fae on the hardest difficulty to see how this team does. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. Hey guys, I'm back. I went ahead and finished up Doom Tower hard rotation. This is for 120. The final boss, this is Astronix, the Dark Fae. I did say I wanted to show the team on the final stage to show, I guess, prove that they could do it. And I also have a few more things I want to talk about as far as like stat requirements go. So real quick, let's go ahead and just run through this. I'm going to leave it on full auto. We'll talk a little bit more. I might rehash a few things I spoke about last time, if they show up. But remember that the important thing is that you want to make sure that you are killing your duplicates as fast as possible. You want to try to make sure that your team isn't so tanky as to a point where you can't actually kill them. And then be careful with your relic choices as well. Like you see there, Edward didn't die. Edward didn't activate the delay that time, which is really cool because it frees us up to be able to drop the turn meter even more. But be careful of like Wand of Submission. Be careful of delay death abilities, things like that. Be careful bringing evade champions in. So like Loki is one. Loki's kind of he's a tricky one because he's a free champion that has a full turn meter steal on his A3, or his A2 maybe. But he also has an evade, which means there's a chance that you might not kill him, and then there's a chance that he might get stolen again, and then you might have trouble killing him again. So, but this one actually is going very smoothly. We're gonna get it done, and it doesn't look like she took a turn at all, which is really cool. Fingers crossed I didn't jinx myself there. Nope, didn't get a turn at all that time, so that was actually a perfect run, and we're able to get it done. Now, I already spoke a bit about what you don't want to bring in, and what you do want to bring in. Mainly, the important thing is you want to make sure that you have like a drop defense champion, a weakened champion to do more damage. Enemy max HP champions are going to be the best, like Marius, Wallmaster. There's a couple new ones that have been added into the game, so if you have any of them, those guys are going to be great. Odin is another good one if you have him. But let's talk stats real quick. So I actually, I'm going to post them up on the screen for you guys to see. And I just want to say that I've done a couple videos where people have mentioned, I want to wrap up with this, that where people have mentioned like, I've been playing the game for a while. I don't have those stats, so how am I supposed to do this? And so on and so forth. And I just wanted to, I wanted to say that Raid is a game that's meant to be played for a long time. You're not going to beat stage 120 of Doom Tower hard early in your career unless you're like a really big spender and you get really lucky on your gear drops, the rates and the sub rolls and things like that. It's not a game that you're going to be able to beat, quote unquote, early on. And so what I would say is, as far as the stats go, focus on what you can control, try different strategies out, and just remember that the point of the game is to progress over time. So if you can't beat stage 120 of the Dark Fae, but you can go all the way down and you can beat stage 40, then beat stage 40 and farm stage 40 and collect better lethal gear. If you can beat Bommel at stage, even if you can only do normal, right? I haven't started on normal, but if you can do normal stage 120, and that's the farthest you can go. Farm stage 120, collect gear, be careful with your rolls, or not be careful what you sell after you roll it. If you get triple, if you get like a trip roll, but it's like a flat stat, maybe keep it on and try to re-roll it into something else when you get a re-roll, right? Some chaos orb. So the point of the videos aren't necessarily, it's more strategy than it is stats, right? So you can apply this strategy to any level of the Dark Fae. It's just a matter of, and then the stats will come with time. I used to farm stage like 80 of Dark Fae on normal, and that's where I farmed my lethal gear. And just over time, over the course of time, I collected better and better lethal gear, right? I got some 6-star epics. I got some 6-star legendaries, and now I'm gonna start trying to farm 6-star mythicals. I've been really unlucky with my 6-star mythical rolls. Not horribly unlucky, but like if we go look at my do I even have any 6-star mythicals? And are they any good? Is the question. So I've got a couple now. So not a whole ton, but I mean, yeah, some pretty good, but no speed, right? No speed. That's a really good one for HP based champions. That's another really good one. A little bit of speed there. So, but it takes time, right? Like mythical gear has been in the game for a long time, and this is what I've got to show for it. And it's, it's good stuff, but it's not a ton. And so it's going to take me time to collect a whole bunch of 6-star mythical gear. Look at 5-star gear, even less of 5-star gear, right? So, and I mean, look, 1-1, 1-1, literally quad ones across the board. That's not a very good one. That's an okay one, but flat stat HP. It's not very good. A little bit of crit damage, triple HP, but no crit rate, no speed, no nothing. And then you've got attack percentage and HP percentage. So it's like you really want that all go into one or the other. So what I would say to those who are, and I'll stop rambling now because I'm sure no one's watching the video at this point, but focus on what you can complete and then complete it. Be careful with your gear. If you guys want, I might even try to make a video on gear to talk about like what you should be looking for, what I look for in my gear, so on and so forth. And just remember that like if you can't complete it this rotation, there's always the next rotation. All right. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up there because, like I said, I don't want to ramble too much. If you guys like this, like and comment and tell me your strategies for completing Dark Fae. I think there's a bunch of people who they just power their way through it at this point. So like if we go look at the best teams, I'm curious now. My clan, yeah, look, a very oh no, that's me. Sorry. I was like, oh, it's the identical team. No, it's my team. Sorry. But on the global rankings, let's see. Look, yeah, Calvalax and Siegfried. Siegfried. Calvalax's Siegfried. So lots of like just tanking their way through it, right? So, and it takes time to get there. So that's it. If you guys have any questions, comments, be sure to let me know. If you guys like the Doom Tower stuff, the last video didn't do super well, but I did get some people saying that it was helpful. So, and that's really all I'm here for. I just want to help people. So, take care, guys, and I will see you on the next one. Later.